Hello everybody and welcome back to the regular Tuesday live stream here at Phil's Corner. It's good to be with you, and in many ways I don't need to introduce what we're doing, but for those that may be tuning in, whether that's live or on catch up, and if this is your first time here at Phil's Corner, here for a live stream, quite simply we are here to talk about football shirts. And certainly for the first few streams of the year, we started off last week's stream by kicking off our giant tier list, which is called the Hot Wall. So that's what we're going to be doing, and we're going to do the same again today because we want to get caught up to date. January is a busy month for football shirts, and it's quite funny really. Many people, of course, if you're a European fan or fan of a European team, you'll be used to a typical schedule of new kits coming out in the summer. But of course, many leagues around the world are in the middle of their kit release season. Leagues like the J League. So there's several Japanese club shirts which I'm excited to talk about, and of course we'll do the usual Hot Wall style. We'll go on the website of our friends Football Shirt Culture, apologies there, and we'll rank some shirts. And last week, if I just bring us to the wall, you can see here, last week we had the first Volcano tier shirt of the year. That is the Tunisia third shirt. So again, just for anyone who is new, my favourite shirts, the hottest shirts of the year on the right side here. My least favourite shirts on the left. We didn't even have one Ice Cube tier shirt, so I was feeling pretty positive last week. But will it be the same today? We shall see. As we begin, guys, a little bit of housekeeping. If you are new and you've not subscribed to the channel, do hit the subscribe button. If you want more content related to football shirts, that is the best way to get notification of when I post videos. I'm just editing now my latest main video, or the kind of pre-recorded videos that I do. That is actually a bit of a twist. That's looking at my NFL and NHL collection, so something a bit different. But there'll be loads of stuff, and we'll be streaming like this as well most weeks on a Tuesday. Right, let's get to it, guys. Let's get to the list, and we'll kick off. Well, we'll pick up where we left off, I should say. Now, we finished with Tunisia, so we've got a few pages to get through. We'll see how we get on. Yeah, there's been loads. Like, this is all in the last kind of week plus. There we go. We'll start with Gamba Osaka. But good to see, mate. I just got a match one and signed Lane shirt, or Lan shirt. I should know who that is, but I don't off the top of my head. I do apologise, but that's pretty cool, book. So which team is that? Very nice. Gamba Osaka. Now, Gamba Osaka, not long with manufacturer Hummel. So I did come across this one before, and I believe this is quite a rare example of a Gamba Osaka home shirt that is predominantly black. Usually they're blue. Northern Ireland. Lanacy from Northern Ireland. Very good. Very good. I thought that was a player. Completely misread your message. Yeah, and I must say, it's a solid, unspectacular shirt. I think interesting to see these kind of cuffs. The kind of style, which is matched nicely, reflected nicely in the collar, and you know, despite the kind of sponsor cluster there, it's a pretty pleasing color combo. I do like the inside neck area there, even though that's a sort of generic detail. I think if you had a bespoke detail, that would be a bit nicer, obviously, but that's pretty good. I think it's hard to get too excited by it though. Pinstripe shirts, generally pretty solid. That is, I think, our first Hummel shirt. It is our first Hummel shirt of the year, so you may have noticed, if you don't know already, we're also kind of tracking brands performance, if you like. So I'm gonna, every time we rank a brand shirt, we'll kind of move their name within this box to kind of track my feeling on the brand as a whole this year. Now obviously that is going to change quite a lot, and particularly for the guys who have a lot of shirts, like Nike for example. I would fully expect them to, well, it depends unless they have a bad year, but with Gamba Osaka, I feel good about putting them the high end of this third tier, the camel tier. Yeah, something like that feels about right. Not a bad start for them. Ian, good to see you in. Stranraer to London is a major ferry connection. Any link to the ferry or the port book? There you go. I am my geography, my Irish geography, or Northern Irish geography, is pretty lacking, it must be said. Let's add Hummel to the list. If I can spell their name right, there we go. So they're on the board there. We'll do a little bit of a rejig. And that is our first shirt of the night, although we are going straight back to Hummel with the away shirt. And if we come to that, let's see how that compares to the home. So you can see same collar style, collar and cuff pattern. I do like the look of this subliminal pattern. Now again, having seen a bit about this shirt before, I believe there's a sort of storyline about the blue flame, and that's kind of the idea. And I think basically it's all marketing speak, isn't it? But I do actually quite like that. This to me is the kind of pattern which really does add a lot to a shirt in a way which doesn't dominate, it doesn't detract from the overall look. Obviously in some light, it almost looks like a plain white shirt, but I actually am a big fan of this approach. And honestly, I really like this one compared to the home. Now the home is pretty solid, but this one, even though you could say it's quite simple, but I do like, again, the aesthetic of the pattern. I appreciate that it's quite subtle, and with this as well, I think not having the pinstripes, it allows this collar and cuff pattern to really kind of shine. You've got a bit less of a clash there, so that is pretty sweet. I actually think this is much better. I'd go as far to say this is like, we're talking like middle flames territory for me personally. I'm a big fan of the look. Maybe a bit biased because I'm a bit of a Hummel fanboy, but I will happily rank this one. I mean, I'm looking at the other shirts we've got in this tier, this second tier, our flames tier. Yeah, I like it kind of mid to high, like this sort of range feels pretty good. And of course that will then bump up Hummel. We're sort of roughly averaging the shirts from a brand. It is pretty rough. Brock says that's a nice shirt there, Phil. I agree. I think this is really smart, and I do think, again, I mean, it's funny, isn't it? Often away shirts just tend to shine a little bit more than home shirts for collectors and that sort of thing. But I think that's a great example of a relatively toned down white shirt, and we've got some more to look at as well. Coming to FC Tokyo and New Balance this time. Good stuff. Just reading the chat there. Guys, much like Ian and Brock, if you're watching and you have any questions or anything you want to chat about, stick it in the chat. I always like to interact with you guys. And of course, if you're new, especially, say hi, introduce yourself, tell me what the last shirt you bought was. But yeah, thank you for tuning in today. And I do really enjoy hearing from you. So if you agree or disagree with my rankings, let me know. Now, this FC Tokyo shirt looks like a recent rebrand, a very interesting rebrand. I don't hate it at first glance. It has a slight kind of corporate feel to it, but it's pretty distinctive. Certainly the gap between the FC there is quite interesting. So very interesting rebrand, but we're not here to talk about the crest particularly. I actually think this is quite well. It has a number of surprising things. So New Balance this year seem to be doing this kind of asymmetric collar, which, well, actually no, they did that for some shirts last year, didn't they? I think they did also for, I might be wrong. Not sure how I feel about it. It's certainly different. It's certainly eye-catching. The brand mark on the sleeves, it kind of bothers me how in the last couple of years it's like floating. It's not up to the edge, but that is what it is. Honestly, I think this is actually quite about as bold as you can get for stripes in terms of that pattern. And the gradient is a bit so-so. I'm not sure how I feel about it, but the overall look is visually quite striking. I said this before, I think blue and red as a combo, which is one of the most common color combos in shirts, it's not typically one I really like a lot. But having said that, I do prefer this kind of more sort of true blue as opposed to like a navy. If you think like a Barcelona, for example, those colours I feel can get a little bit lost for me, or at least it just as a colour combo I don't like it as much. That's a personal thing. But this is honestly really intriguing. I have to say, when I first saw this, I was thinking this is probably a third tier, counter tier situation, but actually I think I might sneak it into the Flames tier. I mean, again, I'm not a big gradient guy usually, but I have to say, I think, yeah, you know what? I think New Balance, again, they've really kind of pushed the envelope, which is hard to do with striped shirts. I think that pattern just about strikes our balance. It feels good around the Red Diamonds shirt there. If we go something like that, I don't mind that. Brock says, so many JD clubs are rebranding. I need to change this mic. Rebranded to a more modern, simplistic logo badge. And I'm losing the charm of the unusual J League badges. That is true. J League crests are it's one of those leagues which has had a great history of charming crests, charming badges. I think that is the word to use, and it's a shame to lose that. Looks like Chris Palace from last year. Yeah, it does look like a Palace shirt, definitely. I think one final word on this one. Quite a fun little sponsor there, and they've obviously recoloured the sponsors fully. So overall, I don't mind that at all. And I have to say, New Balance are one of those brands who I really hope they continue to sort of push on, because it felt like in recent years they were maybe falling off a little bit. You know, they lost a lot of their big contracts, but from a design perspective, they tend to be quite strong. And certainly if you compare them to like a Castor, for example, most of the time, at least for me personally, I tend to prefer New Balance to Castor. But that is their first one on the Hot Wall this year, so we'll stick them there. And we come to the away. Now this will be interesting because we talked about the Gambo Saka away, of course, and how that was an effective white shirt. And this is another really good example. Again, add in this pattern. This is the kind of thing which more brands are doing. And I must say, I also this collar in this color combo looks much better. On the home, it kind of wasn't really a positive. It was interesting, but this, you see, and this, on the home, just quickly, I don't want to spend too much time on this. There's also, you can see that it's hard to see in the pictures, but there's a kind of red stripe, which kind of continues from the collar idea. But in the away, it's much more defined, and this to me just looks so much better. In fact, this is another like Flames t-shirt for me. In the mold of the Gambo Saka shirt. I think looking at this has me thinking, okay, I see what New Balance are doing here. This won't be to everyone's taste, but I actually think that look to me is just a really nice little a nice little twist on on the typical football shirt layout. I really like the look of the pattern. I'd probably say the Gambo Saka was a little bit stronger, but this is close behind. Looks to be going on the back as well. I think this is another excellent shirt. Ian's very right in saying white shirts need to be really good if they're going to stand out. It's true, but I will say, Ian, that, and I think any long-time viewers will know, I kind of do have a thing for white shirts in this sort of style where they're not actually, this is hardly going to be on many people's wish lists, any collectors' wish lists, but I actually really like this kind of approach where You've got a really good pattern. You've got some fresh ideas in terms of the construction and technology. I think this is like, I'm not going to make it as high as Gamba Osaka, but not far behind. And of course, with that being New Balance, we'll bump them up. I think that's a really strong set of kits. And to be honest, between Gamba Osaka and FC Tokyo there, I think that's two top, top tier, maybe not the highest tier, but certainly a strong home and away combo. Let's keep the J League train rolling with Yokohama F Marinos. These guys with Adidas have done some good stuff in recent years, and though this is not the most groundbreaking look, this is one of Adidas's kind of strong points has been some of their collar and cuff details on some of their recent shirts, and this is certainly following that mold. Almost looks like kind of, was it like a chevron or almost like tire tread. I'd be interested to maybe see that idea in the hem here, and this section of the Adidas shirt, which is quite a nice touch actually on the Adidas template of the last couple of years. I wonder if we had a bit of a pattern in there, that could be really nice. So this is nice. Like, this obviously having a plain body is a slight markdown. Interesting to note this jock tag detail, which I believe is, if not I think it's the same. I think I'm right in saying that's the same as previous years. Sorry, I might be wrong. Maybe it was different, but that's not. That's certainly one we've seen before on Yokohama shirts. I'll have to double check that to be sure. But this one, I think it's something maybe just above the Gamba home shirt. That's kind of what I'm feeling. That's my first impression of the shirt. I think we could sneak this one into the Flames too. I think this is like low end. No, you know what? I think actually I do prefer the Tokyo shirt, and that's just at the bottom. So let's go. I mean, I'm changing my mind on the fly, as we do. Stick it here. That feels about right. And we're at Adidas. Is that the first? So this is the first Adidas shirt of the year. So there's a number of firsts today. Of course, we're going to be seeing a lot of Adidas shirts this year, and one of the questions is going to be, how are the big brands performing? How are the big brands stacking up against each other? Of course, with so many teams in their respective stables, there's a lot of potential, but equally one of the nature of, one of the facts I should say about big brands is that they simply don't produce bespoke kits for their teams for various reasons. The level of contract or deal that they have with certain teams often stipulates that they will have team wear, but even within that I want to see, okay, so how is their team wear? What is their approach to some of their quote unquote smaller contracts? So we'll be tracking that very much this year, and seeing how we get on. Now, this is the Yokohama F-Marinos away. It might just be me or my screen, but that looks to be slightly off-white, but maybe it's just white, and I can't tell, honestly. I can't tell. It's quite a pleasing shade. I mean, that's the thing. It doesn't look pure brilliant white, put it that way. I might be wrong on that, but I would appreciate it if it is slightly off-white, because that would look quite nice. Similar pinstripe idea, of course, to the Gamba shirt we talked about before. And I don't mind the colour combo. That sort of slightly darker red looks quite nice. And to be honest, again, on that base, which that does, again, I hope it's not just me, but that does look off-white to me. But I quite like the colours here. Yes, it's, relatively simple. Otherwise, notably no cuff or collar pattern. But I must say, I don't think this is far behind the home, despite the lack of the cuff and collar detail. Yeah, that's definitely off-white. At least on my screen. If we compare that to, let's move that. Compare that to the other white shirts on here. Yeah, that's definitely a little bit off. Who knows? It could just be the color grading. I think something around here feels pretty good. And of course, with this being Adidas shirt, it's getting a bit congested already, and we're a couple of episodes in, and it's already stacking up. But there we go. That's the Yokohama combo. So actually, note for me, I would rank that certainly lower than the Gamba Osaka and the FC Tokyo, but not bad at all. I mean, the standard in J League is looking pretty fun, pretty high. Shonan Belmar now, and this is a shirt from Penalty, a brand who are quietly working away. We actually we talked about Penalty last week, and that was, I'm trying to remember, it was that was another J League team, wasn't it? I forget the name of it now. I do apologise, but these guys famous for their colour scheme, the bright green and blue. A tricky colour combo to work with, and I think the overall look of this one, again with the colours, it's hard to ignore. I don't mind it. I feel like this, I talked about gradients before, it's a trick for me. It's not one of my favourite aesthetics. I think they've achieved that gradient quite nicely, and it's interesting having to try and combine these colours. It's always difficult, and they've done a reasonable job. I don't think it's my favourite take on the Shonan Belmar shirt though. I think I'd prefer perhaps this gradient idea. If that was, this might sound crazy, but if you took that but had that within a series of stripes, for example, and kind of gradients within a more kind of striped structure rather than this kind of approach, I feel like I'd warm to that a bit more maybe. That might be too busy. That might be too much to ask. But anyway, I think this is something in the mid to high candle tier, so I don't think it's a bad shirt. But it's a little bit, I think maybe for as a personal gripe, I'd probably move it down. And Penalty will bump them down a bit as well. Ian on the previous white shirts, so maybe the white shirts that look whitest have a little blue in the white, like the old Daz doorstep challenge. Honestly, Ian, those little things, like I could see it. Just it's funny because that, again, I don't want to, I mean, I could get my colour picker out, couldn't I? And we're looking at, what's that, it's fairly white, as opposed, but not as white as, well, let's try the Gamba one. I mean, this is a tangent that I probably shouldn't go down. Boss says, man, that green and blue is a great colour combo. Yeah, it's very Seattle Seahawks, isn't it? Well, not quite as garish as that one. We should look at that, should we? The Colour Rush uniforms. I mean, these are pretty intense, aren't they? I quite like the Seahawks. They're kind of like my second NFL team, if you like. I'm a Jags fan, but I've kind of got a fondness for the Seahawks. I mean, look at that. Look at that colour combo. Absolutely. Completely unhinged. But anyway, that's Shonan Belmar. Sounders. I mean, yeah, that's true. That's true. How could I forget their that's their like primary colours, isn't it? So Seattle clubs seem to love that colour combo. But we continue. Who have we got next? We have got Tokyo Verdy. So the J League. This is a good taste of the J League, of J League kits. This year so far pretty strong, and it continues, I would say. Pardon me. So this is an interesting one from the brand Athleta, who I believe have been working with Tokyo Verdy for a couple of years now. I'll continue the discussion about white shirts. I am really impressed with like the standard of white shirts. It's gonna sound funny, but like across. So we talked about the Gamba Osaka, FC Tokyo, and this Tokyo Verdy shirt is not far behind. Now, I'm not a big fan of the cuffs. I feel like having the brand mark in there is a little bit much. You know, we've already got like the main logo in its usual position, and that to me is a bit cheap. I'd almost just rather not have anything there. Andreas, good to see you. Good to be back, my friend. Good to be back, and we hopefully will be continuing this momentum through the year alongside the other videos. But good to see you, mate. I hope you're well. I hope your year has started well. But I must say, yeah, this is you know, looking good. Collar is fine, not my favourite style, but nothing too shocking. But we've got the pattern on the back, which again I feel like more brands are doing. Honestly, I like this one a lot, and I think it's just a little bit too kind of a bit extra there on the cuffs. I'd rather not have that. But this is going to be the third Japanese club away shirt, white away shirt that goes into the Flames tier. This is textbook away shirt design for me, and I must say it's really cool to see. And this is 3 different brands: Hummel, New Balance, and Athleta. Andrea says, just saw you talk about Shonen Belmar's New Jersey. Was able to catch the game versus Sanfrecce Hiroshima. Awesome, that's very cool. Andreas, I hope you had a good time. And did you get a kit? Did you get a jersey whilst you were there? That's cool, man. Oh, I'd love to go to Japan. That would, I mean, many places on my list, and I feel like I shouldn't. Well, we had a big year last year with holidays. We probably need to chill out a bit, I think. But that is very much on my list. So that's Tokyo Verde, and that is the first Athleta. I don't think they're an in-house brand, but I can't think of another team that they've worked with. Yeah, I'm not sure. That's really sweet though. That's a really, really solid offering, and that is of course only the away. We've still got the home to look at now, so let's take a look at that, see how that compares. Apologies, 1 second. Yep, we're good. I just checked my levels there. So, nope, wrong screen. Come to US, I can get you a tour and tickets. Love it, love it. Sounds good to me, but the home shirt now. So the same collar and cuff style, which I've talked about, so I won't mention again. This pattern, I would say between this and the away is much stronger, but I don't mind it. You know, the kind of complementary look to the with the home and away as a combo. Oh, there you go. As a combo, it's not bad at all. And they've done the same thing with the pattern on the back. So this is, I think, it's somewhere in this kind of region for me. But another really solid set. Like, I think it's fair to say, as a takeaway, guys, and this is obviously only a snapshot of J-League kits, but I'm really liking what I'm seeing. Historically, Japanese club shirts have often been some of the most interesting. Conversely, they're also quite difficult to get a hold of, particularly if you're in Europe. So they tend to have something of a collectability to them just on that basis. But the good ones, like, you know, we've had some excellent ones. I think this one I'll sneak in to the second tier, to the Flames tier. But that is Athleta, I'm not sure how you say their name. But really good stuff from them. And you can see, like, again, I'm just really impressed. Like, I'd seen a bit about these shirts beforehand, but not really looked at them properly. But overall, really like what I'm seeing. Cape Verde, who are in AFCON, of course. Now, I must admit, I've not been keeping up to date closely with AFCON, so I couldn't even tell you how they're doing, which is terrible of me. But this is a shirt from Tempo. This is another, man, we've had some brands. I tell you, this is challenged. The most kind of brand literate amongst us, even I should say. Don't know if this is an own brand or if this is someone else, but this is, anyway, Cape Verde. Interesting little map detail there. I don't hate that, even though it's a little bit of a cliche these days. And the sort of two-tone navy and the red, it's fine. It's pretty. I think it works fairly well, given that you kind of get. I don't know if this is what they're going for, but there's a kind of, the kind of deep ocean look, and obviously with the islands, and even it's like a shark on the crest. It feels like a pretty solid design. We talked a bit about gold numbers last time, so I won't dwell on that. But I will say that generally I'm not a big fan, but they have been incorporated pretty well in the design, and the gold does actually work quite nicely with those deep tones of navy. So I think this one is a can tier shirt for me, but it's certainly not bad at all, and it's on the higher end of the tier. And international kits often, we talked, didn't we, last week, and there were some fairly uninspiring efforts from a couple of the brands. This is actually much better than, say, some of what we got from Puma and AB Sport. I like this a lot more, but I'm still not going to get too excited. We'll stick them about there. And that was Tempo, so we'll get Tempo on the board. Another brand, and honestly, I had no idea who they are, who they work with. Who knows if we'll get another Tempo shirt. But if that's the only one, that's not the worst. Not the worst performance from the boys. Apologies. Let's continue. We go to Alianza Lima. So we're off to Peru. And this is their new away shirt. Nike's, I was going to call it old template. It's still their current template, of course, for many teams this year. I think, the expectation is for the elite Nike teams later in the year that we'll get the next kind of generation, the next iteration, which is going to be welcome, because in this example, and again I talked about this before, this style where you don't have the bat wings on the front doesn't do much for me. It's a shame because the colour combo is pretty strong. I quite like this as a combo. I like that shade of green and the gold. It's a really nice combo colour wise. Pardon me. There's an inside net detail which is fine, not particularly not the best we've seen, but I would say again, it's hard. It's really hard, especially in kind of year 2 of this template. It's really hard to put this one anywhere above the can or tier, even in a very, what to me looks like quite a nice combo colour wise, possibly even bespoke to the team. I think it will be. So yeah, it's very simple, and for this to be higher, there's all the things for the template, but I would say as well, you're really looking for patterns, you're looking for details, the things which really help solidify these J League shirts. Sometimes the colours are good enough. Like in a better template, I could see this being around here, but as is, not really feeling this one. Of course, that's a Nike shirt, so we'll nudge them up a couple of points. But let's continue with Atletico Talleres from we go to Cordoba in Argentina. So this is Le Coq Sportif, a brand who, a bit like I was saying with New Balance, I'd like to see more of them, and honestly, I quite like their current logo at the moment. This shirt, shame about the sponsor. I feel like that really does kind of take away from proceedings. I think with a better sponsor, this has quite a classic feel to it, but I do like it. I like the stripes and pinstripes. It's always, it's something I often rave about with Brazilian club shirts, or South American teams in general often utilise this style. And we talked with the Tokyo Verde shirts about having simpler cuffs. That looks fine, even though it's a bit longer, a bit chunkier. I really think with a better sponsor or no sponsor, this could easily be in the mid Flames tier. That does knock it down but possibly I think I would still keep it in the flame steel. I think this one actually has quite a lot about the look. You know, and with a shirt like this, I don't mind the kind of paneling there. We've seen that before, that kind of overlap style before, but I like the overall look here. And yeah, the Coq Sportif. I hope, you know, they are brands. Of course, they've got the history, but I think even some of their modern shirts have definitely had something about them. So I would be happy to see more of them in the game, a bit more representation from them. Yeah, you know, I think it's like, as much as I like the likes of kind of Macron and Array, I feel like those guys, they obviously dominate a lot of the space, but there's definitely room for brands like a Le Coq Sportif or a New Balance to kind of get a bit more of the pie, I would say. But hey, that's a separate discussion. We will rank Le Coq Sportif now for the first time. I think that is correct. I'll just copy that name actually. Yeah, so that is the Coq Sportif. Not bad at all. Of course, as we go through, this brand section is going to get pretty busy. So we'll do our best to not overlap too much. But there we go. And we have another shirt of theirs, I believe. We have the Away. Now this one, a lot less exciting than the Home, I must say. I much preferred the Home. And you can see here, it's still quite a smart shirt, but I think what I like, you know, the things I liked about the Home, having the pinstripes and the stripes, with this one just been pinstriped, it's still strong. And to be honest, it still looks to me, it's not quite flame steel, but it's still in this kind of higher, mid to high candle tier range, which is more than solid. Obviously, the recolored sponsor is an improvement, and it's certainly less distracting. And that's the typical pattern you see, don't you, where a home shirt will have a full colour logo. Think of like the Spurs home shirts, for example, but away shirts will be much more open to recolouring. And it's, you know, one of those kind of small things you might notice with kits, but it's you know, sadly for the aesthetics of a home shirt, it can often be a real detracting factor. So good to see that that's not the case with the Away. But that is, let's go to Leras. Good stuff from them. And we come to Leones Negros, the anniversary shirt. So this is a 2024 Spirelli 50th anniversary shirt. So Club Leones Negros de la Universidad de Guadalajara. That's a mouthful. This is a busy shirt. Wow. I mean, it's a very literal design, it must be said. Cutting and pasting several pictures onto here. Not sure how I feel about this one, to be honest. I would say it's a little bit too much for my liking. The plain back is fairly understandable given the situation on the shirt itself, but yeah, there's a detail there. Yeah, it's quite funny. It's almost so bad it's good, but I think it's just bad. And to be honest, when I look at this, I think we have to make this our first Ice Cube tier, and it is a shame because, again, there is a kind of like a novelty factor. It's almost kind of got a bootleg style, a bootleg appeal. But I don't think, in good conscience, we can rank this one any higher than this. I think this will be our first Ice Cube tier shirt of the year. I'll rank it, you know, fairly high within the tier because, again, I think there's enough novelty factor to stop it from being a complete shambles. But that is our first Spirelli shirt. So many brands have made their hot raw debuts tonight, but that is one of the more inauspicious ones we are likely to see. Spirelli, yeah, I think again there is a novelty factor, and it's so funny. I almost again want to kind of commend them for just having the balls to do that, but it's pretty ugly, and I think sometimes ugly can be kind of quite interesting, quite collectible maybe. And this, if you're a fan, of course, this would have something about it. But let's come to Vissel Kobe. We've got their home and away kits, and again, I'm very impressed with J-League shirts. I mean, even just tonight, there's been some real corkers. Let's see how we get on with the home and away. I must say, I don't mind that home one. The gradient, I've talked a lot about gradients, but good to see it going in the shorts, and that's nicely colour matched. I mean, this is kind of a colour, this sort of shade of red, almost kind of pinky shade, is something I quite like that as a colour, and it looks more red, almost maroon in this picture, but I quite like it, to be honest. I mean, this is quite a dominant kind of sponsor, and this is something which Kobe have had in recent years. But I quite like it. I do like this collar. I think that's nice. No fuss. The sponsor logos there look pretty good, and the gradient nicely achieved on the back as well. Good number. I think this is a Flamestay shirt, guys, and maybe I need to change the narrative in my head that I don't like gradients, because I've seen a few, like, seeing the FC Tokyo shirt, seeing this shirt, I feel like that's actually, I think that's another takeaway for us tonight. Maybe this is the year when I come around to gradients on kits. I don't want to declare that, unreservedly, but that's another. I really like this. I actually really like the look, and I think for me it does come down to the colours. Again, this shade of maroon or dark red, it's got enough pink in it. Maybe that's just the cameras, but it's got a nice level. You can see the contrast. The socks, that's more of a classic shade, but I like this slightly pinker shade. To me, that is a really good look. And this is Asics. It is Asics. So we've not had them on the board either, so we will stick them on. Apologies. And yeah, let's get them on the board. And of course, with many more shirts to come. They are currently, what's going on there? There we go. Photoshop behaving. Or I'm misclicking, I should say. Let's get Asics on the board there. And then we come to the away. Now, I must say I like this one as well. Perhaps not quite reaching the heights of some of the other shirts, but to be honest, so it's funny. I hope I'm not being hypocritical here, but I mentioned about how patterns can really help with a shirt. I don't think they're strictly necessary, and in this example, this is a fantastic. There's fantastic work in recoloring the sponsors, and I think it works both ways. On the home shirt, I don't mind having the full color logo there. I quite like that logo, and that looks fine to me. But I really, to be honest, actually, I think this is excellent. The little flash of the maroon color there, but it's really well executed, and the fact that the sponsor, which is usually a bit more prominent, that's been faded into the background, or that kind of portion of the sponsor. This is another good shirt, to be honest. I must say, I think this is like as good as the home. I'm happy to put it maybe a pip or two, a few pixels behind. Man, J-League shirts, guys. J-League shirts are the one. There's nothing new. You would have heard it before, but I really do think you've got everything you want in football shirts. You've got the crazy shirts, the more reserved looks, some really good colour combos which you rarely see outside of the league. Fantastic brand diversity. Yes, you've got a lot of sponsors, but I kind of like that, and honestly there's a charm to that. I've talked about that before on the channel. Love it. And excellent shirts from Vissel Kobe. Honestly, just really impressed with the J-League shirts we've seen tonight. Now, it's only been 45 minutes or so, but I think I want to end it there. We will, however, come back to this next week, and I'm just looking ahead to what we'll be ranking. Of course, we've got plenty more to do. We've got a lot from South America. We've got a selection there, even some Uruguay Olympics. But yeah, particularly South America is the name of the game, really. In terms of new releases, Sao Paulo with New Balance, that's a big combo there. We've got a number of teams, so there's plenty more to be going at. That looks pretty cool. Kawasaki, Frontale. So plenty more to go at. But in summary for today, and it's been a nice quick blitz through particularly the J League, an impressive slate of shirts. Nothing in the Volcano tier today, but we had several new entries in our second tier and the Flames tier, and I must say, I might be coming around to Gradients. Just seeing that Vissel Kobe shirt there, and even the FC Tokyo look, it's this could be a change of heart, which long-time viewers will know I'm certainly not usually a big fan. Usually as soon as I see a Gradient, I'm like, gonna bump that one down. But thank you guys. It's been a relatively shorter stream tonight, but did want to jump on, and of course I do want to say thank you for those who have tuned in live. If you're watching this after the stream, thank you. We're usually streaming 8 o'clock UK time on a Tuesday evening, unless it's the Champions League. If it's the Champions League, we won't be doing that simply because people are usually watching that. But thank you for watching. Do subscribe if you haven't already, and if you enjoyed the stream, it really helps if you leave a like or a comment on the video. Tell me what you liked about it. Tell me which was your favourite shirt tonight. Thank you, Ian. Good to see you, my friend. Hope you have a good rest of your week. And so to all you guys, thank you. Don't forget, we've got many more videos this year. The next main Fool's Corner episode will be out. Hopefully, I'm aiming for Thursday with that one. And quite soon after that, and hopefully, within another week, we'll be doing another video. I'm going to be reacting to leaks for the Euros kits. There's been a lot of leaks. I'm going to basically be doing a bit of a kind of reactions video to that, because there's a lot of interesting stuff to look at and to speculate and talk about. So there we go. Thanks again, guys. Have a good rest of your evening, and I will see you very soon for another one. Take care. And I pressed my button and nothing happened. We'll try again. Have a good evening and see you soon.